Welcome back. I'm continuing on with the tools of the trade, tools that I use for my work. The first video I showed was all the pens, pencils, and writing instruments that I use. Now I'm going to show you the type of tools that I actually use. The first video covered a lot of things that you'll see most artists use. The felt tip pens, the pencils, etc. If you watch that first video, you'll pretty much recognize everything there if you've been an artist. What I have here is things specific to technical art, specific to drafting. I've been a draftsman for a very long time, so I have quite the collection here. But a lot of this stuff you won't really need for standard drawing. You'll see some things like rulers and circle templates and stuff like that you'll use for comic book art, manga art, to get precise lines or straighter, more rounded lines. You won't see a lot of these things in drawing outside of drafting or technical art. The first thing I want to show is rulers, okay? Just standard everyday rulers. This one's a metal one. I got a plastic one here. I like the black, it looked cool. The white shows up really good against the black. Basically, I have a lot of rulers. I have a whole bunch. I use them for whatever I'm doing. I think this little shatter resistant guy here is my oldest and most beat up one. It's not very straight, but I still use it for imperfect drawing. If I just need a straight line that doesn't have to be too precise. I've got one here with the type of scale set on it. I've got some neater ones. Now the longer ones I have here are for long lines. Sometimes I use some paper that's pretty large, and I need a straight edge that can go a lot further than the standard 12-inch ruler. So I have some larger ones. I even have a meter stick around here somewhere, but that only gets used on rare occasions. I don't really need line to go all that big anymore. Okay, next thing is scales. These are scales. I don't know if you're familiar with scales or not. Scales, I have two here that are in aluminum. These are my newest ones, the aluminum ones. But scales are three-sided and marked. I don't know if you can see this. Oops, get it out of the light. I don't know if you can see that real well, but this is your standard 1 to 12 inch. And then what it does is it divides inches into different scales. If anybody needs to know how to use these, if you want, just put a message down in the comment section and I'll make a video that shows you how to use these. But for the most part, if you're a draftsman, you know what a scale is. Scales, because I do a lot of drawing of things drawn to a specific size, I use the scales almost exclusively. This one's architectural, this one is engineering. Wait, I think, yeah, this one's engineering and this one is, oops, I think I got it backwards. This one's engineering, this one's metric. So basically, you use scales depending on, you know, if I'm going to draw something like a vehicle or a house or a building or a spaceship or who knows what. But I want to make sure I draw it to the right size. I just use a scale and assign a ratio to them. Now, something I do want to cover is that scales are not rulers. You do not use a scale as a straight edge. Scales are very precise. The markings are set out just right. They take a lot of trouble to get these things right. Even the plastic ones are really good. I've been using plastic for many years. But a scale is not a ruler. You do not take your pencil or pen and set a scale down and then draw a line along that. The reason being is because what you do is you wear out this edge, and the markings that are on the scale will actually wear off close to the edge. And when you're using a scale, that means you're trying to be precise. And if you need to be precise, you need those lines to come all the way down to the edge so you know exactly where you're at. Sure, you can guess a little bit, but some of us are pretty particular about how accurate we want to be. And scales, I have never used any of these scales to draw a line. I've actually been pretty good at that. So never use them as a ruler. Always just use them to measure. You can use your pencil to, use your pen or pencil to make dots and mark along them, but you never use them to draw a straight line. You'll end up messing up your scale and you'll end up needing to buy a new one. And these aluminum ones aren't terribly inexpensive. Something I wanted to bring up that I forgot to mention is keep the holders that they come in when you buy them. I only had one of these plastic holders, and I wish I had more, but I keep my scales in them to keep them protected when they're in the drawer, when I'm not using them. Because you want to make sure you keep them real, as in good a condition as possible. I do the same thing with my rulers. I keep my rulers in the packaging that they came in to when they're not in use. It keeps them from getting beat up when they're put away and keeps the edges straight, keeps them from the markings from wearing off on them. Next thing is templates. I have a multitude of circle templates. Okay, you're probably used to seeing those. I have ellipse templates. Templates for ellipses. I have several of those. And then I have a bunch of templates that are actually specific to certain use. This one's dimensioning and tolerancing. This one is home planning and layout. This one is isometric piping. I did process piping when I was in school. Learned how to do that. And then, I got electrical symbols and welding symbols and more electrical controls. And here's a general inking template just with different types of shapes on it. And this one's an architectural template for the doors and the sizes of certain pieces of major appliances, etc., that are normally show up in houses. Normally you wouldn't need these. I actually don't use these at all. Whenever I need to draw something, I pretty much just draw it. And these are all only set to one scale. It's usually 1/4 inch scale for the architectural. And unless I'm actually drawing at 1/4 inch scale, and a modern building or something, then these are good for getting the size of a major appliance, a bathtub, a bed, etc. But for the most part, I don't use templates. The actual templates. I use the circles and the ellipses quite a bit, but not the other templates. I just draw freehand or do whatever I need to do without using a template. Next thing is French curves. French curves come in handy. Whenever you need a curved line that's pretty precise, but you don't have an exact radius or diameter or anything to go by, you just know you need a curved line to look a certain way, French curves. Can't beat them. Something I forgot to mention when I was doing scales, I also have this. It's a Department of the Army graphic training aid. It's actually a template for map reading for the military. And that is my cat. Go. Scram. This is for laying out for land navigation in the military. I think I probably got this when I was in the military, or I might have got this one from a Army Navy surplus. I don't actually recall where I got this. I probably got this one from an Army Navy surplus. The one I had in the military was pretty beat up. I'd used it so much. This one looks pretty new. Basically, whenever I do mapping and stuff, this comes in handy for like drawing maps in the futuristic settings, sci-fi, modern day, if you want to use a grid location system, things like that. So I use a lot of specific tools for the type of drawing that I'm doing. I do a lot of cartography, so I try to be pretty precise with my maps. Next thing I do is angles. I gotta know my angles. Whenever I'm doing an angle, I usually need to know what the angle is. I have a lot of these. I got 2 of those. These here, this one is a circle angle, plus it actually spins on the inside, so I can draw circles with it. I have more of these protractors. Protractors, that's the word I was looking for. More protractor. This one's a full circle protractor. This one here, an adjustable triangle. Very handy for drawing lines at certain angles. If you need a line drawn at a straight line drawn at a certain angle, but you don't have a standard triangle that has that angle on it, adjustable triangle. Actually, I've used this one quite a bit. And then also I have one of these. These are sold in the building construction section of most hardware stores. It's just a protractor for figuring angles when you're doing lumber and stuff. But it comes in handy for me when I'm trying to find an angle on a drawing that I'm working on. Usually if I am referencing something and I need to know the angle of something, I can throw this on there. It's pretty precise, and it helps me figure out what the angle is. All right, next thing is triangles. Triangles. You need to draw a straight line, use a triangle. The 45-degree triangle, I got them in different sizes. I've got 30/60s. 30/60s is 30 degrees on one side, 60 degree on the other with a 90-degree. I've got just a bunch. They're all 45s and 30/60s. I've got them all different sizes. I have the little ones for when I need short lines. I've got the great big ones when I need a great big line. And I have even bigger ones of the 30/60s. So I'm of the opinion that you can never have too much equipment. Always be prepared. If you see something that you want, that you know you're going to use, and you have the money for it, buy it. I mean, I've collected mine. It took me years to gather all this. But every time I saw something that I knew I was going to use, I snatched it up. Okay, this here was a ruler I purchased. I thought this was clever. It's not precise, not exactly precise, but it's fantastic for drawing large circles. Basically, you put your pencil in one of these holes here, set it down, hold it in the center, and then you spin it. And it'll go all the way around. You can draw large circles. It's sort of like a compass, only in ruler form. It's really good for that. I kind of like this one. It's holds the pencil really stable for some of my larger circles. The next one is compasses. Get yourself a good compass. If you don't have a good compass and you need to draw a lot of circles, compasses are good. This one's Staedtler. It also comes with an extension arm on it, so you can actually draw pretty huge circles with this compass here. The one thing I have a complaint about compasses, oh, this one also comes with a pen attachment, so you can actually put your technical pen on this. The technical pen actually threads into this small attachment here. You put it in place of the lead, and you can actually draw full circles in with the technical pen. One of the complaints I have about compasses is that they don't make them for mechanical pencils. I would love to have a compass that has similar attachment like this pen attachment, but only for putting a mechanical pencil, a clamp or something to put a mechanical pencil in. Closest thing I've been able to find is this. This is a inexpensive little compass that I found. It has a mechanical pencil attached to it. This is Staedtler also, but it's one of their low-end ones. It's not all that, it's pretty flimsy. But it works. I've used it a couple of times, but I like the fact that it has a mechanical pencil. Most compasses have a lead that you have to use the sandpaper that I showed you earlier. You have to use that sandpaper to file a wedge shape in the lead to draw a circle. And then, of course, when you do as many circles as I do, the lead wears out so fast. This lead is so soft, it wears out so fast that your line isn't consistent around the whole circle. It starts off thin and then gets thicker. And by the time you come back around again, it's thicker than the line that started it. And you're constantly having to sharpen them. I just really wish they'd come up with a better compass that actually used a mechanical pencil so that you could keep your line consistency the same. Now, the one thing you may have noticed here that I haven't pointed at is my drafting machine. A drafting machine is, when I was in school, this is what we used exclusively. Drafting machines are mounted to the table that we have. I have a very nice desk. I've gone through about 3 drafting desks in my life. The first one I got was a very inexpensive one my parents got me as a child. I think that one eventually it was only about 3 feet wide or so. It wasn't, you know, it was good enough for a kid to draw on. Then I ended up outgrowing it. I ended up putting like a 4 foot by 4 foot plywood top on it so I could have more surface. I used this vinyl mat, which you can see the green down here. This is a vinyl mat that goes on top of the table surface. It provides a much nicer surface to draw on than just the regular wood or plastic or laminate surface that your table is actually made out of. This one here is it's made in Denmark by Vyco, V-Y-C-O. They come in pretty much any size you want them. Sometimes I'll even cut them to size if you need. But the vinyl surface, it's green on one side. I have mine double stick taped down so I can't flip it over to show you, but it's green on one side, it's white or like a cream white on the other side. I prefer the green side because any imperfections, any ink blots or things that eventually, these things get beat up over time. And any kind of ink blots or anything that get on them doesn't show up as well on the green side as it does on the white side. And the white side tends to shine right through your paper if you're using a thinner paper. I tend to use vellum a lot. So I prefer the green side up. I've always used the green side. It's just the feel of drawing on this vinyl is so much nicer than drawing on a table. For me, that's my preference. Once again, every artist is different. The drafting machine, though, attached to this table is my drafting machine. If I can do this without knocking things off. Here we go. Yeah, now the drafting machine is, now that I have this is fairly new to me. Now that I have this, I pretty much don't need to use the triangles anymore. I can if I wanted to, but it's kind of redundant. And also with the protractors, because the drafting machine, I prefer this style with that's actually located on a beam attached across the top of the desk to another beam. They have the kind that are an arm. It's like an arm connected to a single point where it clamps and then goes down to a pivot point and then comes down to a head that looks just like this. But I prefer this style. It seems a lot more stable to me. I've used the other style as well, but this one's a lot more stable for me. But this one here, you're able to adjust your angles. You're able to adjust your angle to whatever angle you want. It's marked in here, down in here, so you can actually find your angles. You can get the scales that are attached to it. You can actually buy them in different lengths. These are 18-inch, I think. And they can be scaled to whatever you want. I got mine in architectural scale. And in general, this thing is fantastic. I'm so glad I got this. It helps a lot more. It's nice not having having to mess with the triangles and everything as often as I used to. The machine really replaces quite a few of your tools. These aren't, by any stretch of the imagination, inexpensive, especially for a table the size mine is. But because I've been drawing my entire life and it's something I know I do and I know I use, it was worth the investment for me. This table is a very high-end table. It's pretty much, I think it's the same one I used when I was in college, the same brand. Or if it's not, it's very similar. And I know that this table will probably last me the rest of my life. I don't see wearing this table out. This table is a professional table. And with as much drawing as I need, this thing is excellent. You do need a taller chair. When you use these, you have to use a draftsman's chair because the table is actually pretty high and it does not lower down far enough to use a standard computer chair or something. You'll be middle chest at the table here if you try sitting on a computer chair to draw these. So you do need a special chair to get up high enough to be on these, but it's completely adjustable. I have it laid flat here so I can do this display for you, but this table will turn up perfectly vertical. I mean, the flip of the switch, the foot pad, the footrest down here, I just stick my toe under it, lift it, and this thing is spring-loaded, and it helps me, and I can tilt the table up at any angle I need it to be. It'll even go in reverse. I can even tilt it away from me if I needed to for some reason. I guess so you can be on either side of the table, but there's no footrest on that one, on that side, so I don't know why you would want it tilted that direction. But this thing is, I tell you what, if you are going to be an artist the rest of your life, if this is something you really do, I recommend getting yourself a good drafting table. My first table, like I said, was a very inexpensive one my parents got me when I was a child. My second one, I was late teens, early 20s. I bought a nice oak framed drafting table. That one lasted me until I got this one. In fact, that one, there was nothing wrong with it when I got rid of it. It just was not big enough. It was not large enough or stable enough. This one here is, I mean, this thing might as well be bolted to the floor. This thing's so stable. So, like I said, I'm a stickler for my tools. And this is rather nice. All right, the other thing, fixative. When you're done with the drawing, if you don't want it to smear, use fixative. Some people do, some people don't. I do when I do a drawing that has a lot of pencil on it, a lot of lead that I didn't, something I didn't completely ink. I spray it with a good fixative before putting it away. That way it'll keep from smearing and everything over time. Another thing I wanted to show you is this little thing. This is just from an office supply store. It's just a little 2-drawer organizer, I guess you'd call it. This one here, all those pens, pencils, erasers, everything I showed you are actually in this. This is how I stay organized. One thing you want to do when you're drawing is stay organized. This one here, all my erasers and my erasing pad, my erasing shield, my tape, and all of my big erasers are up here in the top. So if I ever need an eraser, I just pop this open, reach in, grab it. The top drawer is all my pencils, anything that uses graphite, or my pencil erasers, anything related to pencils goes in the top drawer. Bottom drawer is all of my inking tools. This is pretty full right now. I don't think I need all this stuff in here, but I just sort of put things away from the last video, so I stuffed everything in there. But this is really nice because it sits, if your table's not tilted at too much of an angle, it'll sit up on your table. And everything you need is in this thing. You know, you need a pencil, open the top drawer. You know, you need a pen, open the bottom drawer. You need an eraser, pop the top. It's very nice. I keep my pencil sharpeners, my whiteout stuff in it too. If the table's tilted at too much of an angle to use this, all your tools are right here. Just set them on a side table. Set them over here to the side where I'll usually have something over on the side that's next to me if I'm tilting my table up, because I still have to have a way to put my materials. They make trays that actually attach to the table, and those aren't bad. I've actually used them. I just don't have one with this table. So the other things I have are 2 lamps. I'm using this one here is just your standard fluorescent lamp. It's a small clamp on, off on the side here. I also have on this other side, let me point you over to it, see if I can get you, is this one with, these have the flexible beams on them, flexible arms on them. Now, the benefits of this is you can aim your light anywhere you need to be. If you've drawn for any length of time, you know that your own shadows are your enemy. I mean, look at this. And you're sitting here trying to draw. I'm right-handed, so I'm sitting here trying to draw, and if the light's over here on my right, I'm casting a shadow on my drawing. So you want to have a light on the opposite side of your hand. So the light's over here on my left, I draw with my right hand, the light comes over here, casts a shadow away from my actual drawing area. Left-handers obviously be reversed. What I like to do though is I like to have a light pretty much on both sides. Preferably I'd like one right above me. I'm probably going to have to build something to get a nice fluorescent. Fluorescent lights are nice because they don't cast much of a shadow. This one looks a lot worse on camera than it actually is. But incandescent lights, they get hot. They get hot. They're glaring. But fluorescent lights are nice, especially if you get a fluorescent light that is color correct. Like a natural light. So other than that, I think we're pretty much done with this one. If you have any questions, just leave me comments. I will be glad to answer anything I can. If you think I need to make a video on anything else regarding my materials that I use, or need more descriptions on how I use them, or is there something I wish I had that I don't, which come off the top of my head, other than a light, I can't really think of anything that I would need on a regular basis that I don't already have. Like I said, I've been gathering my tools for many, many years, so I pretty much have everything I need. So, yeah. So if you have any questions, leave me a message. All right. Catch you later.